everybody. Steve Mackenzie, Chief Innovation Officer at Momentus Technologies, here for another one of our Innovators Series interviews. Today, we're very lucky to have with us none other than Gav Parry, who is the General Manager at Cast. And this is a pretty interesting story. So rather than me tell it, Gav, why don't you give us a bit of an intro to yourself and background on you and on Cast?
For sure. Obviously, Steve, thanks for having me. Great to catch up. I know we're close to seeing each other in person, so I look forward to getting you over here in June. So yeah, my background is very much as an artist myself, so a bit of a weird step to get to where I am now. But I've started as an artist, releasing music, touring, doing all the things you do. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot of things, a lot of heartache. But through that, kind of learned a lot of things that I didn't get like a piece of paper for. But I realized I actually learned a lot of skills that can be transferable into other industries. So I did spend a little bit more time in music at Q Music, and they run Big Sound, kind of the biggest music conference on this side of the world. And then from there moved into tech and innovation through COVID, where I built a platform to help artists. And then I got onto this, caught the bug of technology, moved into community management at tech community called Innovation Bay, where I was kind of looking after the early stage community for founders. And Fade and Ian there were great. They really gave me a chance of getting out of the music industry. So shout out to Fade and Ian for that. From there, I moved into kind of more tech and innovation at Entain. And they just kind of announced this incredible space here in Brisbane. They'd spent a lot of money. It was an innovation hub. We had a whole floor up here in Bowen Hills in Brisbane. And my role is to come in for a new, piece of their business called Innovate. Innovate was the idea of how do we start engaging more with the local tech startup ecosystem and really start building pathways for technology adoption. And also I was looking after some internal innovation, the community we were building there, which was a lot of fun. And I loved my time there. I really missed the co-working space we built in the community. Through that, though, I really got the first-hand issue with the problem we've got in the broader entertainment industry. It was very focused on venues there, and we'd have some really great startups come through, but connecting them into the company was really hard. I was lucky because I knew what the company was looking for and could kind of position those things. So we got really close to kind of moving forward with a deal there, but then my time finished up and I kind of moved on. After I finished, that was in last year, I spent some time working out how do we become that connection piece between the organizations and the startups, and realized at the moment there's nothing there. So we planted ourselves in the middle as Cast, and really our focus now is how do we create greater pathways and stronger pathways for startups to get connections to who they need to sell to, for then to be adoption, and then there to be investment, and eventually we're starting to see there is the opportunity for some acquisitions in that as well. So that's the big picture of where we want to get to with Cast, and a quick wrap of, I guess, how I've got here.
Oh, that's great. Appreciate it, Gav. And I love that, I think you said the word innovate or innovation there several times, which is right down the alley of what we're talking about here. So I love it. You mentioned sort of the big picture there. If we sort of expand on that, what are Cast goals for this year and beyond?
For sure. So I think the big thing for us now is we're not in a rush to do anything. We know that one thing I've learned is working in a big organization, it takes a lot of time to change. So initially, like this year, our big goals, obviously we've got our showcase, which we'll touch on a bit of a teaser, but we want to do a few more of those. We're currently chatting to another 2 events that'll happen this year. So that'll kind of mean that we've done 4 kind of activities that we want to do to start really framing up what Cast can become. When we start to look at the future, right now it looks like there's a bunch of opportunities. Either, again, I'm still trying to really work out what Cast can become, but how do we keep pushing for this idea of what our focus is how do we make better experiences for the fans? So if we put fans at the heart of what we do, and I mean fans you can change for customers or whatever that looks like, but without fans across sports, music, arts, there is no industry. So as we start to look at what that looks like, and here in Brisbane, we've got the 2032 Olympics and Paralympics, which is an incredibly exciting opportunity. What do we need to do to make sure that's great? And then what can we take those learnings from where this happens all in different parts of the world and bring it together? We have like the Australian Open, who does a really great job of innovation at part of their event. The NRL do a magic round piece here with the local Queensland government. but we don't have this connection between all the cool stuff that's happening. All of us share the same customer, which is the fan. How do we bring that together? So at the moment, there's a few different ideas we're floating around what that looks like. But long term, past how we get there, we really want to be the place where the organizations can come to and trust, because we're putting forward really great technology to them and innovation and startups. And then on the startup side, we really want to become, and this might be a bit different for you, Steve, because this is in Australia, so you might not have this, but Triple J is a local radio station. They have this station called Unearthed. Perfect. We really want to become like the Triple J Unearthed of the startup ecosystem for entertainment. So anyone, it doesn't matter what the startup is, it could be a small idea, it could be something that's big. We want to be the place you go to straight away, put up your profile, it becomes searchable, and we start that conversation around connecting that grassroots of innovation to the top end. And we do think over the next 10 years, entertainment more broadly and venues being at the heart of that, there's an incredible opportunity. We just want to make sure that we're making the most of it and not missing out on what that looks like.
That's phenomenal. Thanks for sort of talking us through that. And it's just so great to hear that there's an organization that fundamentally wants to help others, do better and get better in this industry and get them in front of the right people, and like you say, with the fan at the heart of it. So it's a win for everybody, which is a great segue into you sort of teased on it, where what we're going to do together with Momentus and Cast for at the upcoming VMA Congress, which is going to be so cool, June 22nd to 25th in Sydney this year, for those that are interested in coming along. But this is a first, and it's very near and dear to my heart, because it's one of the things that I've always wanted us as a company at Momentus to be doing, and to a certain extent we have, always looking at how we can help foster the growth of the industry and the next generation and the new ideas that are coming through. So really pleased to use this as a bit of a platform, if you like, to kick off the idea that Cast and Momentus and the VMA are sort of partnering to bring this innovation hub together at the VMA Congress, where we'll be sponsoring for startups to be there that wouldn't have got an opportunity perhaps otherwise to be in front of some of the leading names and brands in the venue industry. So really excited and proud to be part of this. Can I get you to elaborate though, Gav, on why we're doing it and the type of startups that you're seeing applying for this so far?
For sure. And obviously a huge thank you to yourself and Momentus as well, Steve. I think the hardest part when you're a new organization getting off the ground is having people who, like yourself, who've had decades of experience in the industry, seeing what you're doing and wanting to support it. So first of all, massive thank you. I think the thing that we really start to see is, just like you mentioned, there's, I wouldn't say responsibility, because I'm only new to the industry, so I don't want to say people who've been there a lot longer than me that there's a responsibility. But more broadly, when I look at kind of my journey in the music industry, I've always felt a responsibility to make sure the next lot coming through have a little bit more support than what I did, and a little bit more knowledge and understanding. And when we start to look at, I think, what the industry looks like, everyone who's in it is just so passionate and wants it to be awesome. Like I know, chatting to Joel and chatting to yourself and a bunch of other conversations I've had, no one's in it because they're forced to be. It's a hell of a job. It's long hours. It's all those things which, like, aren't always fun, but really they're here because they genuinely care about it. So when we look at what genuinely care about it, yes, we want each of our companies to be successful, totally. But if we start to look at that legacy piece for the industry as a whole, we do need to start making those pathways easier for new technology. Otherwise, we see what happens. Industries struggle, they don't adapt, and they die. And I think we know entertainment is at the heart of everything we do, and venues are at the heart of all those in-person experiences. So the biggest focus for us at the VMAs is we want to be going and taking these startups that don't usually get a chance to jump in front of some incredible members of VMAs, and put them there, because we want them to be there showcasing the next year and the next year. And if we can go and help along that process, so we have the new kind of startups coming through that then feel confident that there's value in attending these, we're going to see those organizations and VMAs, which do an incredible job of, supporting the industry. We need those industries to survive. We're not here to take those out. We want to be partnering with them and offering something really unique. So at the moment, the thing that's been cool is when we think more broadly, and our language isn't just in venues, entertainment, we start to touch on fan engagement, fintech, payments, venue operations. All of those things kind of come together, and the startups now have been really broad from one of the more exciting one is like a full way to plan out and how your event's going to look, and they do that through generation 3D models in a really new way, and Ian's doing an amazing job there. We've got like Mark from ArtsPay, who's literally a payment provider that gives back 50% of their profits to the arts industry. And then we've got Chu from Sunflower AI, who's like doing live translations, live auto translation, closed captions at events. So there's such a broad base, and I think the exciting thing for us is we're only just getting started. And I think the more we start to share this message and talk about it, man, there's going to be so many more startups that come in because they see the pathways clear. We make those connections, and people like Momentus, who aren't there just chucking up gates and saying, hey, no one shall enter. They're actually saying, like, we want you to come in. We want to find ways to partner and work with you. And if we can start that conversation with the VMAs, like, that's really a huge, that's success for, you know, what we've been talking about.
I love it. Yeah, no, it gets me excited just hearing you talk about it, and I can't wait to meet some of these startups with these new ideas, and you know, it makes me, I'm you know, I'm old. I've been around a long time, unfortunately, but it makes me feel, you know, that tingling that, you know, when we're just starting up and what you're doing. So that's really cool. So we know why. You know, we know why the startups want to be there, and what we're trying to do to give them that pathway. And again, I thank you for partnering with us, and Joel from the VMA for doing this too. But why should the other folks that are coming to the VMA, why should they come along and have a look at the Innovation Hub?
Yeah, so from my conversations, there's never been a reluctance to be across the latest technology. The biggest issue has been able to find it. Now, unless you're kind of connected into the ecosystem and you're regularly chatting and asking around, you're not going to have a chance to understand what's going on. And again, because people are so passionate about the industry who are in it, the conversation I've had is they want to be there to see what's going on, because there's nothing more daunting is when you start to see technology moving at the pace it is and you feel really disconnected from it. The thing that tends to happen is people get scared. And when you are passionate about an industry, and we see this more broadly, so I don't just want to focus on venues, is because people aren't connected to it, they become scared of the technology. Then they don't engage with the technology. Then they get more scared of the technology. And before you know it, they just completely wipe themselves out from having any connection to it. And all it's doing, it does make their job harder, their life harder. Everything they're trying to do at work can be easier when you start to engage and understand technology. So my plead, I guess, is really on two pieces. Selfishly, for the startups we bring along, I want them to chat to awesome people who generally care about the industry, because it's really hard when you're a startup starting out and you're trying to do a cold outreach to someone who has no idea who you are. They couldn't care about your company. It's really hard. So you spend all this time wanting to build and ask questions. You don't get that opportunity. You get burnt out and you leave the industry. We need more founders in the industry to be building cool things. And the only way to make that possible is to chat to the people who are going to be at the VMAs, and them giving some time to be like, just answer some questions from those startups. So again, I guess it's a really easy plead, and it feels like it's, again, pulling at the heartstrings of like the industry, but that's what I think this industry's got. And that's why it's so amazing, is let's do this for the generations to come, because the more technology we have coming in, the better the experience will be for the fans, the more money there is coming into the industry, and the more things we can do. And I think unless we have that whole circle that comes together, we're going to drop off. And unfortunately, we're going to see the industry go away, which we don't want it to go. So come along, like, yes, there's going to be 4 startups, but we're also taking a cast excursion where we're going to be bringing other startups along. Because we want to have those conversations, and yeah, you get to hear the startups pitch, you get to go and ask some questions. And I guess the only thing we want to get to is we'd love for more of the industry to be engaging and kind of working towards where we want to get to, as having you as more members, is, hey, I'm committing to adopting or trial that one new bit of technology every year, just one piece. If we can go and get all the industry that's at the VMAs to adopt one new piece or try one new piece of technology every year, the amount of interest and founders rushing into the industry, knowing those pathways are clearer, it's going to look vastly different in 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. And that's really what I'm hoping we can achieve. It's our first one, Steve. So, I mean, it's a tall order. I don't,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know it's a lot to get there, but that's really what I think that's the impact I do think we can have, at least at our first. Joel will be there many more times to come. I put that on
yep.
you now. But number one, let's start that.
No, I love it. I mean, I think if you and it's you and I driving this, I think we're facilitating a session on the Innovation Hub floor on one of the days. If you and I can bring the passion that we're talking about now, I think it's going to be a success. So I can't wait for it. And I couldn't agree with you more. Our industry, there's an evolution going on, right, with live entertainment, and there's a lot of options now for people to looking at their competing for their dollar. And if we don't change the way we're doing things, we do risk going the same way that some other industries went, that ignored technology. We have to embrace it. We have to look for that. So I'm with you 100%. And I want to see us thrive. I want to see face to face thrive, and technology is going to be doing it, for us. So we have to embrace it. I can't wait. Thanks, Gav. I really appreciate you doing this, and just can't wait to be on the show floor at the VMA in Sydney from June 22nd, 25th. If you haven't signed up, go and look now and sign up for that. And Gav, thanks again. It's been a great chat with you. Thank you.
Awesome, Steve. Really appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you there. See you over here.